Danielle van Dam was an American girl from the Sabre Springs neighborhood of San Diego, California, who disappeared from her bedroom during the night of February 1st to 2nd, 2002. Her body was found by searchers on February 27th in a remote area. Police suspected a neighbor, David Allen Westerfield, of the killing. He was arrested, tried, and convicted of kidnapping and first-degree murder. Westerfield was sentenced to death and is currently incarcerated at High Desert State Prison. On the evening of Friday, February 1st, 2002, Danielle van Dam's mother Brenda and two friends went out to a bar called Dad's in Poway. Danielle's father, Damon, stayed at home with Danielle and her two brothers. Damon put Danielle to bed around 10:30 p.m. and she fell asleep. Damon also slept until his wife returned home at around 2 a.m. with four of her friends. Brenda noticed a light on the home's security alarm system was flashing and discovered that the side door to the garage was open. The six chatted for approximately half an hour, then Brenda's friends went home. Damon and Brenda went to sleep believing that their daughter was sleeping in her room. About an hour later, Damon awoke and noticed that an alarm light was flashing. He found the sliding glass door leading to the backyard open, so he closed it. The next morning, Danielle was missing, and her parents called the police at 9:39 a.m. Danielle became the subject of search efforts, with hundreds of volunteers searching deserts, highways, and remote areas for weeks. The Laura Recovery Center assisted in organizing the search, and a Danielle Recovery Center was set up in a real estate office in Poway to coordinate the searching. Finally, on February 27th, two searchers found her nude, partially decomposed body near a trail in Dehesa, California, an unincorporated town east of San Diego. Some searchers had decided to search the Dehesa Road area near the trail after detectives discovered traces of Danielle's blood in David Westerfield's motorhome because Dehesa Road was a possible route Westerfield could have taken to get to the desert. Because of the condition of the body, the coroner was unable to determine the cause of death or whether she was sexually assaulted, and had to use dental records to confirm her identity. Law enforcement officials interviewed the Van Dam's neighbors the Saturday morning of Danielle's disappearance and discovered that one neighbor, David Westerfield, was not at home. Westerfield, born February 25, 1952, 49 years old at the time, was self-employed as an engineer and held several patents for medical devices. Westerfield graduated from James Madison High School. He had no criminal record at the time and was a divorced father of two college students. He lived 2 houses away from the Van Dams and owned a luxury motorhome. On Saturday morning, Westerfield fetched his motorhome from another part of town, stocked it with supplies, and left home at 9:50, minutes after Brenda called 911 to report Danielle missing. Westerfield later told police that he had driven around the desert and the beach in his motorhome and had stayed at a beach campground. This was later confirmed by witnesses, cell phone records, gas receipts, and credit card records. Westerfield said he had intended to go to the desert, but realized he had forgotten his wallet. So instead, he drove to the campground at Silver Strand State Beach. He paid in advance for a 2-night stay. However, he decided the weather was too cold, so returned home to look for his wallet, after which he went to the desert. A witness at Silver Strand later testified he saw Westerfield pull out his wallet while at the campground. He drove to the desert, where he got stuck in the sand on Sunday morning about a quarter mile off the road and needed help from a tow truck to get free. On his way home on Monday morning, a sleepy-looking and barefooted Westerfield stopped at his regular dry cleaners and dropped off 2 comforters, 2 pillow covers, and a jacket that would later yield traces of Danielle's blood. When law enforcement first interviewed Westerfield, he did not mention going to the dry cleaners, although he detailed almost every other stop on his outing. Law enforcement placed Westerfield under 24-hour surveillance on February 4th, noting that he had given his RV a cleaning when he returned from his trip, although he maintained it was normal for him to do so. His motorhome, SUV, and other property was impounded for testing on February 5th. Westerfield stated he did not know where Danielle was, but said he had been at the same bar Brenda had been to that Friday night, which Brenda confirmed. On February 22nd, police arrested Westerfield for Danielle's kidnapping after 2 small stains of her blood were found on his clothing and in his motorhome. Danielle's partially decomposed body was found February 27th. Westerfield pleaded not guilty and went on trial on June 4th, 2002. In pre-trial motions, Westerfield's lawyers moved to have his statements to police excluded, charging that he was unfairly interrogated for more than 9 hours by detectives who ignored his repeated requests to call a lawyer, take a shower, eat, and sleep. In the end, the 2 officers against whom the defense directed their complaint did not testify. The forensic evidence presented by the prosecution included Danielle's bloodstains on Westerfield's jacket and on the floor of his motorhome, Danielle's fingerprints in the motorhome, hairs from the Van Dam family dog on Westerfield's motorhome bed comforter, hairs consistent with Danielle's on the sheet of his bed, and matching acrylic fibers found on Danielle's body and in Westerfield's home, among other evidence. One witness testified that she had left a side door in the garage unlocked, and prosecutor Jeff Dusek theorized that Westerfield might have entered this way. He emphasized, however, that the prosecution did not have the burden to demonstrate how the kidnapping was done, only that it was done. During the trial, Westerfield's lawyers suggested that the police were in a rush to solve the case and declined to consider other suspects. They suggested that the child pornography found on Westerfield's computer was downloaded by Westerfield's son Neil, who was 18 at the time of the murder. In testimony, Neil denied this. Part of Westerfield's defense focused on the lifestyle of Danielle van Dam's parents, who they argued had an open marriage, were swingers, and smoked marijuana in their garage regularly. The defense suggested that because of this lifestyle, there might have been other people in the home that night. To establish an alibi for Westerfield, the defense called 3 entomologists who testified that insects first colonized Danielle's body sometime in mid-February, long after Westerfield had been under police surveillance. The prosecution's entomologist testified that Danielle's body could have been colonized as early as February 2nd. In closing arguments, defense attorney Stephen Feldman argued that no evidence of Westerfield was found in the Van Dam residence or at the body dump site, and that a foreign hair found under Danielle's body was not his. In rebuttal, Dusek argued that it is plausible for an intruder to enter a home without leaving trace evidence, especially if he is taking appropriate precautions. Conversely, Dusek argued, the nature and volume of Danielle's trace evidence in Westerfield's home and motorhome, and on his jacket, allows no reasonable explanation other than guilt. The trial lasted 2 months and concluded on August 8th. On August 21st, the jury found Westerfield guilty of first-degree murder, kidnapping, and possession of child pornography. During the penalty phase of the trial, Westerfield's 19-year-old niece testified that when she was 7 years old, her uncle entered his daughter's bedroom, where the niece was spending the night with her parents while attending a party, and woke up to find him rubbing her teeth. She said she bit his finger as hard as she could, then went downstairs to tell her mother. Westerfield was questioned about the incident at the time by his sister-in-law, where he explained that he had entered the bedroom to check on the children and was trying to comfort her. The incident was then forgotten. The penalty phase ended on September 16th when the jury rendered a verdict of death against Westerfield. In January 2003, Judge William Mudd sentenced Westerfield to death. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.